Building platforms for authors and entrepreneurs. This episode, a conversation with Tyora Moody.
Definitely, I wanted them to offer advice from a point of view. What are some things that you learned that you want to teach an aspiring entrepreneur?
This is episode 29 of DIY Author. You're an author. Maybe you're taking the traditional route. Maybe you've chosen an independent path. Or maybe you want the best of both worlds. Wherever you want to go as a writer, DIY Author is here to help you on your journey with advice, encouragement, and practical tips. Because do it yourself doesn't have to mean do it alone. Welcome to another episode of DIY Author. I'm Chris Well. Our guest this episode is Tyora Moody. As an author, she's been traditionally published and also self-published, and now she's moved into becoming a publisher herself. She also helps authors promote their own work through her literary entrepreneur business and podcast. In this interview, Ty and I discuss how she pulled together almost 24 businesswomen to inspire entrepreneurs, her favorite thing about podcasting, and the one piece of advice she has for you to improve your author platform today. Here's that conversation. And now I'm speaking with Tyora Moody. She is an author. She is an entrepreneur. She's a podcaster. She makes videos. She's a publisher. And she offers literary services. First of all, Tyora, welcome to DIY Author.
Thank you for having me today, Chris.
You have a brand new book, When Women Become Business Owners. And then you offer your literary services and you have your podcast under the name The Literary Entrepreneur. Let's start with the book, When Women Become Business Owners. This is a brand new book. It is a compilation of advice from entrepreneurs who are women. What was your process putting this book together?
The When Women Become Business Owners is an anthology, and it has a kind of unconventional idea behind it in that it's kind of a spinoff, a nonfiction spinoff of a fiction series that I did the past 3 years, the Victory Gospel series, which is a romantic suspense series. By the time I got to the third book, I realized that all three main characters were female entrepreneurs like myself. It wasn't something I planned, but this seed got planted in my mind. Why don't you do something with real female entrepreneurs that's business and faith-based advice? So that's where the idea behind the book comes from.
You're listed as a compiler. So are these articles that these women created, or did you interview all of these women? How did you put the book together?
It was a combination. I put out the guidelines this time last year, 2014, and I received entries, actual essays from women. And then there are a couple of women who are not writers. So I did interview them, transcribe the interviews, and actually ghost wrote those pieces for them. And so it all came together. I didn't know how the table of contents would look until I actually started working on it. And then I started to see some patterns in each of the entries. And that's how I came up with the storytelling part of the book with the table of contents.
So it's interesting. You said, because of course you are a woman who is an entrepreneur, and that now you say you were writing these novels where you had characters that were like that. As you thought about the kinds of women that you were going to put in this book, how much of that part of the process of the book was you were going after women that you had something in common with, versus was there a part of it where you were thinking, oh, this is an excuse to ask for free advice from all of these women?
Actually, I was just mainly looking for women. Definitely, I was looking at it from a standpoint of faith-based. And I wanted a variety of women. And from the book, you have women who they had job loss. They were homeless. I have one, she spent time in prison. A lot of them are like me. My business started as a hobby, and I started to see the potentials to it. So I was looking for a range of women who definitely I wanted them to offer advice from a point of view. What are some things that you learned that you want to teach an aspiring entrepreneur or a woman who's like a solopreneur who kind of feels alone? What are some advice tips that you can give to her?
Now, you published this book under your own imprint. Is this pronounced Time Publishing?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, but it's to people listening, it's spelled Tymm. I'm assuming because of your name.
Yes, just basically my initials.
What was the process like publishing the book?
Well, this is, I think, my fourth independent project. It was a little different from my fictional books in The Literary Entrepreneur is because I was working with 22 women. So it was a process of me doing I did the content editing on this one and then hired someone to do the copy editing. So I probably spent more time than my other books really entrenched in the stories, making sure everything lined up. You know, it was a perfect storytelling process. Where the other books were just me, this was a little different because I did have to go back and forth with 22 different women and, you know, go through their stories, make sure I didn't change it, make sure I kept the essence of it during the editing process.
So you've also been traditionally published, correct?
Yes, my 4 books for the romantic suspense are traditionally published under Urban Christian.
But now that you've been on both sides of the fence, so to speak, are you still traditionally published? Are you still interested in that? Or do you feel like, okay, being indie is so amazing, this is where I want to be?
I think I have reached a point I'm definitely more leaning towards indie publishing. When I first became traditionally published, I learned a lot from that process. I learned, you know, how many steps, how many people have to edit your book, the process of really making sure it flows correctly. Everything from the book cover, the way that they start out where you have your book, you have to be finished with that deadline a year ahead of time because there's a process to that. So I've taken all what I've learned and I feel pretty good about being an indie publisher. I actually enjoy it better.
Now, with time publishing, is that just for your own projects, or are you thinking like this could become a micro publisher for other authors?
I'm moving in that direction. The compilation that I just put out was my kind of step into the water. I wanted to see or get a feeling of how it was to work with other people on a smaller kind of level project.
This is also interesting. You did a series of videos, and there's people who want to see it. If they go to the website, there's a playlist that they can see of, I think it's 20, is it 27 different videos?
Yes.
It's 2 book trailers and then a series of videos that are devoted to individual chapters of the book. I'm fascinated by that. I love that you have 27 videos promoting this book. First of all, let's start with why did you do that? Where did that idea come from?
The book is definitely not focused on me. It's focused on 22 different stories, and 3 of the women, including myself, we wrote 2 stories each. And so my goal was really to make sure that people knew who was a part of this compilation. And I wanted them to know the type of advice that you can read more about. And it gave me opportunity because there's many of the contributors, this is their first time publication. So it gave me an opportunity to give them a way to set themselves up for the next level for themselves. A lot of them are going to have books coming out in the next couple of months. So this is my way of marketing and also introducing them to the world. I kind of wanted to do all that at the same time.
So each contributor actually has her own video.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How did you make the videos? The ones I was looking at, it looked like kind of a SoundCloud kind of look. What was the actual physical process of making these videos?
Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com. They have a great service where when you upload your files, you can send them to YouTube. So I have the podcast. I had each of them. I either recorded them individually or we did a simple recording where they sent it to me on their phone. You know, they recorded it on their phone and they sent it to me. All of them were edited in some type of way to make sure they stayed at least under 2 minutes. And yeah, I just uploaded it to Spreaker and it was a very smooth process to the YouTube channel.
Do you use Spreaker for your own podcast?
I do. I like that format. I did start off using SoundCloud, but I'm using Spreaker now. And yeah, I'm enjoying their format a little bit better.
Now, your podcast, the name of it is The Literary Entrepreneur, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is also the name of your literary services. Let's just talk about the brand, The Literary Entrepreneur. It's a blog. There are services. There's the podcast.
Well, it starts off with the book, The Literary Entrepreneur's Toolkit. That's kind of where it all started. And just a little bit behind of why I call myself the literary entrepreneur. Before I was an author, since 1999, for some reason or other, all of my clients have always been authors. My very first client was an author. I started out with web design, moved into graphic design, and then doing book marketing. So a lot of times I get some of the same questions over and over again from authors. So I decided to put it into the Literary Entrepreneur's Toolkit. And so from there, it branched off into other services. I wanted to blog, also talk to other authors, literary entrepreneurs, and also provide services through theliteraryentrepreneur.com, which are, anyone who has questions, they want to be coached or mentored through the process of setting up a book marketing plan. That's kind of how the brand has expanded over the last 2 years.
And there is a podcast that you do under that brand. How do you like doing podcasts?
I love doing them. The only thing is they are like blogging or anything, they do take time. So I kind of took a hiatus while I was doing the anthology, but I definitely want to pick that back up this summer. I have 3 interviews in the can that I'm going to be recording soon. But yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, I like to tell authors, if you're really not dedicated to doing a blog, check out podcasting. It's, it's audio. You're talking to other people. If you, put aside some extra change, get them transcribed, you can really still build a platform with podcasts.
What did you consider the hardest part about getting started as a podcaster?
For me, it took me a while to figure out the platform. I thought for a while about going to Blog Talk, and then I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that. I do really like to record and then have time to edit and put it up a little bit later and plan for that posting. So just for me, I think it was just deciding on the platform. I already, had my editing equipment. I just use Camtasia for everything I do for video or audio. So, that was pretty much all. Just the platform, figure out which one to use.
You use Camtasia to record your interviews?
Not to record, for editing.
Oh, okay.
I actually use like a conference call system to record. I use Camtasia for editing.
Okay, all right. What is your favorite part about being a podcaster?
Well, it's an opportunity. I think most of the interviews I've done, people are very transparent when they're talking, and you get to learn a lot more about people, I think, than if you just gave them something where they're writing it down. So I just enjoy it, and I'm looking to expand and meet other people and, learn about their audience and they learn about mine.
As we're talking through all of these things that you do and that you offer, that listeners looking at all of these options, marketing, videos, podcasting, what is your one piece of advice about the best thing an author can do right now to build a platform?
I think, first of all, they just need to find out who their audience is, because you can jump into all types of platforms. You can try the blogging, you can try podcasting, you can be on all the social networks, but they really need to figure out who their audience is, because you can find yourself trying to do too much. You can get overwhelmed because you're trying to market to everybody, which you really shouldn't be doing. So I think the first and foremost is know, if you write nonfiction, what's that niche of nonfiction, where those people are located. If you write fiction, is it romance or suspense, where are those readers located, so that you can make sure you're more focused with whatever platform you decide to, start off with.
Now, if an author wants to get in touch, the best place to find you online is at your author site, right? TyoraMoody.com.
Yes, I consider that the official place to find me. You can pretty much find out anything I do, probably from the homepage. I've honed that homepage a number of times to put pretty much everything that's going on currently just on the homepage of TyoraMoody.com.
And that's spelled TyoraMoody.com.
Yes, that's correct.
Well, Ty, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed my time with you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this episode. Be sure and catch every episode of DIY Author. We're available in iTunes and Stitcher, and of course we have our own dedicated app. Just go to your favorite app store and search for DIY Author. This is Chris Well saying thanks for listening. I hope you'll join me again. This has been DIY Author. Please visit us online at DIYauthor.com and be sure to sign up for our email newsletter. If you enjoyed this program, please consider subscribing and leaving a review. Until next time, keep writing. And remember, do it yourself doesn't have to mean do it alone.